The markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Catch up with us on Business Brief. Asian markets trade mixed as Wall Street's modest gains lift the S&P 500 to a fresh all-time high ahead of Nvidia's highly anticipated earnings. Japan's Nikkei, South Korea's Kospi, Singapore's Straits Times, and Australia's ASX are in positive territory, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng and China's Shanghai Composite are lower. On currencies, the US dollar slips against the Japanese yen, the South Korean won, and the Thai baht. It is little changed versus the Hong Kong and Singapore dollars, while the Australian dollar holds steady against the greenback. In commodities, gold edges down 0.1%, while oil prices are mixed. In crypto, Bitcoin gains 0.7%, while Ethereum sheds 0.5%. Senator J.V. Ejercito is suggesting that DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan step down on BNC's Business 360. The senator said this will allow an unbiased investigation into anomalous and ghost flood control projects hounding the agency.
It might be that he doesn't have any knowledge of what there's too much, a lot of district engineers and district engineering office. It might be that about 100 or almost 200 of them, he would not be able to monitor everyone. But, ignorance does not make excuse you. So I recommended that he take a leave of absence.
So you think he should step down while this probe is ongoing?
Maybe, out of delicadeza, so that the investigations will go on without suspicion of him being able to influence the department or agencies.
Meanwhile, the senator supported President Marcos's directive to conduct lifestyle checks on government officials from agencies involved in the flood control scandal. He further suggested that these checks should extend to all elected officials, both national and local, urging for stricter accountability amid the rising corruption allegations. In the same interview, Senator Ejercito championed the public-private partnership model as a solution to our infrastructure woes, citing success stories like Bilyonaryo Ramon Ang's San Miguel projects. He notes infrastructure remains a red flag for foreign investors looking to enter the Philippines, highlighting the country's infrastructure gap with ASEAN neighbors.
I estimate we are behind in terms of infrastructure development compared to our neighbors. Not Asia, just ASEAN. Maybe 30-35 years behind. Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and now Vietnam is investing heavily on infrastructure. They did it in the 90s, and look at where they are now compared to where we are right now.
The senator then urges the government to close that gap by implementing a comprehensive infrastructure master plan with focus on long-term projects that span administrations. He says this approach can also be applied to flood control specifically, which currently lacks this, resulting in ineffective and anomalous projects. As a bribery scandal and ghost projects rock the DPWH, Secretary Manuel Bonoan confirms Batangas District Engineer Abelardo Calalo is under preventive suspension. On BNC's On Point, Bonoan says Calalo has 72 hours to explain. This following Congressman Leandro Leviste's expose that Calalo tried to bribe him to stop a probe into bogus or non-existent projects in the province.
And that's why I meted him, actually, a preventive suspension right away. And I ordered him to file an explanation of his actions, actually, so that we can properly look into all the matters and and if it's necessary, sanction him, whatever it needs to be done. We just issued actually the notice to him, and I think we were expecting that he would be rendering his explanations within 72 hours.
In the same interview, Bonoan said the DPWH uncovered at least 5 ghost flood control projects in Bulacan, with more questionable sites under review. He says senior district staff have been suspended and notorious contractors will soon be named on orders of President Marcos. The Metro Manila office market continues to see strong demand for premium, well-located spaces. Cushman & Wakefield reports that in the second quarter, rents for prime and grade A offices in Makati, BGC, and Ortigas rose 0.5% to more than 1,000 pesos per square meter, while vacancy slipped to 10.5% from 11%. The gain was driven by flight to quality, led by multinational relocations and financial sector growth. In contrast, fringe business districts saw rents fall 1.8% to 842 pesos per square meter, with vacancy climbing to 23.4% on persistent oversupply. The property sector is showing signs of renewed optimism. Leechiu property consultant CEO David Leechiu tells Business 360 that some believe the worst is now behind the industry.
For the last 5 years, we've seen demand grow.
Yeah.
For the last 5 years, this is the 2024 was the bottom of condominium mid-end buying in Metro Manila. In the last 7 months, you've seen a strong surge in buyer activity in the condo space. Again, partly because sellers are becoming realistic, buyers are taking up slack. So you're seeing a lot of transactions happening again, and that's momentum.
He adds the BPO sector continues to expand despite concerns over artificial intelligence and remote work arrangements.
I just came from New York, and it's been an amazing transformation in New York, mainly because companies are being brought back to office. Many companies are going back to 4 days. By the end of this year, they will be 100% back at office.
Okay.
And so the retail traffic, the sanitation across the streets, across sidewalks is so much better. Retail traffic is so much better. Hotel occupancy, office occupancy. So the amount of commerce going through New York has been fantastic, and that's going to spread throughout the world.
Various companies are calling for the release of mining tycoon Joseph C. But Senator Risa Ontiveros believes his business interests in the country is a major security threat after documents show he's actually a Chinese national. Hanati reports.
Nagpanggap na Pilipino at ang isinusulong interes ng dayuhan.
A new name joins the growing list of alleged fake Filipinos. In a privileged speech, Senator Risa Ontiveros warns that the case of Bilyonaryo Joseph C., also known as Chen Zhongzhen or Shi Zhenzong, is more than a simple question of citizenship. It's a direct threat to sovereignty and national security. The Bureau of Immigration says fingerprints on his passport match those of a Chinese national who entered the country under the Alien Social Integration Act of 1995. He was granted an Alien Certificate Registration ID card, which identifies him as a citizen of China.
Match na match ito sa fingerprints niya sa passport niya bilang si Joseph C. Kumpirmado yan. Hindi haka-haka. Hindi madadaya ng AI.
Joseph C. is no small player. He's an honorary chairman of the Philippine Silk Road International Chamber of Commerce, a group deeply linked to the Communist Party of China and Beijing's One Belt, One Road initiative. Chinese media reports trace his roots to Fujian province, where he and his wife run a charitable foundation worth millions of yuan. In 2018, Xi gained entry into the Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary, a civilian unit with access to maritime operations. He even rose to the honorary rank of Auxiliary Commodore. This gave him social access to sensitive security events at a time when tensions with China in the West Philippine Sea remain high.
What does he know now about our Coast Guard operations, our waters, our ports, our maritime vulnerabilities?
Xi's footprint in the mining sector is just as troubling, according to Ontiveros. His firm, Ipilan Nickel Corporation, continued operations in Palawan even after its environmental compliance certificate was cancelled. Communities complained of flooding, polluted waters, and illegal tree cutting. Amnesty International reported that the company bribed locals to muffle opposition. Xi's group also owns Platinum Group Metals Corporation in Surigao, now under investigation for siltation and pollution. The NBI reports alleged unsafe practices and recommends the filing of charges. And yet, it's Xi who profits the most. His companies export raw nickel to China, directly supplying his own smelting plant, Guangdong Century Qingshan Nickel Industry Corporation.
Truly, Mr. President, when an individual of questionable citizenship operates in this sector, we are effectively allowing foreign actors to strip our land of wealth.
The senator demands answers. Who approved Xi's delayed birth registration? And who is safeguarding the mining sector from foreign interests hiding behind fake Filipino papers?
The Philippines is not for sale. Our flag is not for sale. Being a Filipino is not for sale.
Xi's arrest has triggered warnings from some in the mining industry that it could scare away investors. But Ontiveros insists she is for the rule of law. As of latest monitoring, Xi is under immigration custody and his deportation case is ongoing. Hannah Tia, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
We're taking a short break. More business stories are up next. You're watching Business Brief. You're back on Business Brief. Telco giants are split over the new Konektadong Pinoy law. Some are against it, but Dito Telecommunity is backing the measure, seeing it as a win for competition and consumers. Sujin Kim has more. Go ahead, Sujin.
Yes, Mai, despite sharp divisions among major telcos like Globe and PLDT Smart over the newly enacted Konektadong Pinoy law, Dito Telecommunity is positioning itself as a strong supporter of the measure.
The more we think about it, Konektadong Pinoy can be actually a very positive thing, not just for Dito, but actually for our for subscribers and for the public in general.
While Globe Telecom has raised concerns on infrastructure sharing and PLDT Smart warned of risks to cybersecurity and network quality, Dito describes the law as an opportunity rather than a threat.
The end goal is to allow more entrants to come in to provide that type of service, and because there are more entrants, you're going to have competition and price will go down.
The company confirms it will actively participate in the drafting of the implementing rules and regulations with two non-negotiable priorities, which are robust cybersecurity and maintenance of high service levels. He cited how Dito, upon entry, had to pay over $1 billion on security audits alone. Dito insists that infrastructure sharing and competition will ultimately benefit consumers by bringing down prices and expanding access.
As a company that was built to bring in competition into the market, I think it would be very hypocritical of us to say we don't want competition. Competition is good. I think for Dito, maybe there might be some pain, but if we're smart and if we partner actually with the TIPs that are coming, it could be a win-win for us. And not just for us business-wise, but also for the Filipino public who needs really affordable internet services.
As other telcos highlight risks, Dito is framing Konektadong Pinoy as both a business opportunity and a public good, a move that could redefine its position in the highly competitive telecoms market. Tamano is optimistic that the IRR will be drafted without allowing fly-by-night companies to penetrate the market. And those are latest updates from Taguig City. Back to you, Mai.
Thanks so much, Sujin Kim. The Philippine electric vehicle sector is shifting into high gear, with registrations in the first 7 months already surpassing the full year total for 2024. But major roadblocks remain, particularly the lack of charging infrastructure needed to power this growth. Our mobility correspondent G. Baroga has the details.
There is a big surge in electric vehicle sales in the country. According to the Department of Energy and the Electric Vehicle Association of the Philippines, or EVAP, new registrations of EVs with the Land Transportation Office reached nearly 30,000 from January to July of this year, surpassing full-year sales in 2024. EV registrations rose 5% to over 24,000 last year. This is lower than the 8.5% growth in the automotive industry in the same period. According to Director Patrick Aquino of the DOE, the uptick is the result of the collective effort of the government and EV stakeholders, along with the development of the industry itself. The number of available EV models has increased to 1,029. EV charging networks are also expanding, with 1,104 charging points in operation across 113 locations nationwide. But Aquino admits building charging stations is still facing roadblocks.
Yung rollout po nung charging station, dependent siya sa dami ng sasakyan at sa magiging puhunan ng ating pribadong sektor. Wala pong charging station na budget ang gobyerno.
EVA President Edmond Daraga is urging the government to align directives for setting up the EV industry.
There are some indicators like change of leadership, changing of decision makers na kailangan natin i-address. Although, what I appreciate most is on support of the President from the OSAPEA, Office of the Secretary of the President, na tumutulong sa amin.
According to data from the Chamber of Automotive Manufacturers, EV sales particularly rose in May. Some reasons cited were the Israel-Iran tensions and the odd-even traffic scheme that was set to be implemented had the EDSA rebuild pushed through. The DOE clarifies the number coding exemption for electric vehicles will remain.
It will not go away because under the EVIDA, it says it stays any vehicle volume reduction scheme, you're exempted. Electric vehicles, whether battery electric or even hybrids, are exempt.
He adds that will only change if the law is amended. The DOE also supports the DOTR's public transportation push to help address traffic. Regarding the smoking Nissan Leaf pure electric EV, Aquino says the unit had to be sent abroad, and the results are expected to be released after 3 months.
In terms of safety, the DOE has already issued an implementing guidelines that require charging stations to have a fire suppressant or a fire blanket because for the information of our public, electric vehicles, you can't turn off the fire using water.
Meanwhile, AC Mobility, owned by the Bilyonaryo Zobel de Ayala family, is considered among the leaders in electrified vehicles in the country. Their unit sales more than doubled in the first 7 months of the year, with BYD models Sea Lion 6 and Seal 5 and the Kia Sonet among the key growth drivers.
BYD is focused with NEVs or new energy vehicles. Currently, we have 11 units in our lineup, from our passenger cars to SUVs to MPVs. You should expect more. We will not stop until each and every segment of what the Filipino consumer is looking for has been provided for by BYD.
In October, the 13th Philippine Electric Vehicle Summit will be held, aiming to spark more conversations about the future of electric mobility in the country. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
The Bangko Sentral has cut policy rates by 25 basis points, bringing the benchmark rate down to 5%. The BSP also lowered the rates on its overnight deposit and lending facilities to 4.5% and 5.5% respectively. It said the inflation outlook remains broadly stable, with forecasts at 1.7% for 2025 and 3.3% for 2026 and 3.4% for 2027.
As you know, earlier today, the Monetary Board decided to reduce its key policy interest rate. The target RRP rate will now be reduced by 25 basis points to 5%. Based on the latest data, I think this puts us at our sweet spot for both inflation and output. The projected inflation rate over the next year or so is where we want it to be. Output is moving to where we think our capacity is. The policy rate itself is at our Goldilocks rate, neither too high nor too low. I would characterize this as still dovish, but slightly less so than before in terms of the forward guidance.
Security Bank has completed its acquisition of a 25% stake in Home Credit Philippines. The bank bought the shares from MUFG Bank, paying a base 10.36 billion pesos last May and an additional 1.23 billion today, August 28. This brings the total deal value to 11.59 billion pesos. Security Bank says the strategic investment will boost its presence in the country's fast-growing consumer finance sector. U.S. President Donald Trump makes good on his threat to double tariffs on imports from India to 50%. This could endanger relations with one of America's most important trading partners and push consumer prices higher. This comes just weeks after Trump instituted a new 25% baseline tariff on Indian goods. The latest round is punishment for India's importation of Russian oil, as well as helping Russia finance its war with Ukraine. Philippine shares fell back to the 6,100 level despite the BSP cutting interest rates by 25 basis points. The PSE index ended lower by more than 1%, closing at 6190, making it the worst performer in Asia. Among sectoral indices, only mining and oil finished in the green, while financials fell the most, down more than 2%. Advancers and decliners are in a deadlock at 99 to 99. Total value turnover reached 7 billion pesos. Majority of the day's most active stocks ended in the red, with BDO falling the most at more than 3%. In the foreign exchange market, the peso is currently trading at 57.10 to the dollar, stronger than its previous close of 57.16. That's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Join us again tomorrow as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business. Only here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. I'll see you then.